Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I wanted to make a quick video talking about the Game of Thrones Tarot. I enjoy reading with the deck. I didn't get into the series. I I don't know, I even had all of the DVDs like with the intentions of watching them, and I did, but it might just be the um types of things that I like, maybe the specific things that I go for in movies, because I know I do love things that take place. I'm sorry, I don't know if I said movie. The series that takes place in like different time periods. I like things that have like um mystical or that are like fantasy type of things. But it might have been that it was like more on the adult serious note, um, because I do like the fantasy movies or series that tend to be maybe, um, I don't want to say for the specific type of audience because you could like it at any age, I would say, but more of the light-hearted ones that have some things that are serious, but maybe there's like a scale for that for me. So I don't mind that I don't know a lot about the series when I read the deck, but I do know some of the references, and there was a point where I was curious about what the book said, and I read a little bit about the book, and then I like stopped because I wanted the reading to be more coming from me, and sometimes like I have references to some themed tarot decks, but I don't, for this deck specifically, for some reason I didn't want to keep thinking about the series, maybe because I wasn't super compatible with the type of series that it was. Um, but it's not me saying like whether it's like a bad or good series. It's definitely subjective. So I have the deck in this case, and I do enjoy making them. I feel like they're like the luggage format or type of design, and so this is knitted, and then I end up just crocheting this, although I could do something else with it, knit wise. And then stopping in the front and then continuing on for the flap. So I do enjoy making these bags. I have a couple of them. Um, so this is the deck. I also wanted to bring up my thing about just leaving around my pets in the past, because I would take pictures of my animals or just like leave the cards near them. And it didn't happen most of the time, but occasionally the one of the animals did want to um, do something with the cards. So this is one of the decks that is damaged. I technically have a backup deck for this one. It's in my storage unit. Kind of wish that I had it because I did put like tape and such in this area, and I feel like maybe there was some of like the piece still on there, but I was trying to find this deck because I felt like I had it because I do enjoy reading it. So, because I did pick and choose which ones I would bring here, and I found it in one of my bags. It was just like out of the case and everything because it was with a bunch of other stuff that I put in there. So it did like um I guess undo itself or like open up the wound, if you will. So I kind of wish I didn't, but it's okay. I do have a backup, and I feel like this cardstock specifically, I don't think this will be that much of a review, but I did want to do a sample reading to show how you could read with it. Um, I do like the cardstock. It, I'm not too sure. It's kind of like the plasticky one. It has like some type of lamination, and it does have like a grid to it. It does really well with shuffling it a lot, and this deck, it wears well. So it's not super thick cardstock, but I feel like it's thick where it isn't noticeably thin. So I think it's like nice for that, and shuffling is nice. This is one of the decks that I like to keep with me if I do keep a deck with me. I used to like kind of religiously have a tarot deck on hand, like whenever I would have a bag, which would be every time I go out. And because like in a tarot reader's head, like you never know. But during the last couple of years, I really didn't focus on tarot at all. It was more for my studies and different types of studies because I met Ethany through TarotTube, and so I was just so engulfed in tarot, and I had a couple years down with reading tarot, but I was still really interested in her tarot school, Tarot Academy, and I did get the certification there too. It was so fun. I loved every minute of it. Um, and I do respect her as a reader because, as I mentioned in other videos, I do enjoy watching how other people read and seeing and like listening to how they're reading the cards, how they're flowing, and the types of interpretations that come out because um, it just is endless possibilities. So that type of thing really um, is like a favorite pastime, and I still do it. So as I have shown, this is the back. Um, I'll show the cards too, and then I'll read with it. Um, when I read with this deck, it really comes out like a storyline. There's a lot of depths to it, and the way that it just, and that's why I'm also saying that, like, well, of course, in general, it's like subjective if you like the series or not, but the way that it reads, it flows really well. Because I feel like, well, for somebody that didn't completely watch everything, like I could feel how ingrained this the story is into the deck, and there's um like specific things of why certain cards or certain characters were considered for those um archetypes. So, and then some of it just makes sense, and then other things like you hear through the grapevine because a lot of people would talk about this series. And it's not the only thing that I got that was like Game of Thrones. There's this um backpack that I got, and it has the wolf symbol. I forget what it, I know where it comes from, but I am not sure about the name. And then it has like the fox fur at the top, and I just love that backpack. Um, and then I got I call it like a nighttime shirt if I were to wear it, but I don't really wear long sleeves that often, as you could tell through most of my videos. And it had like on the back, it's like um for the throne, and it had like a list of things like do this for the throne, do that for the throne. Um, and I just thought that was like really cool, so I picked that up. I know that there's other related tarot decks that could go with this one. I'm these days, well, I don't really buy that many decks these days, but I really try to consider like if I'm going to use it because there are a good amount of decks that I have used for over the years and have still loved them. Even those that I've had for like around a decade, and I still go for them as like one of my main decks. There are others that I feel like the concept is awesome, but I just didn't use it as much as I would have liked. And you don't have a library where you could, well, I don't know if there's a library of decks that you could really check out. I know the place that I would sell my decks at in Virginia, they had um, like samples, and some metaphysical shops have that, which is really like super convenient for you because like unless you really touch the cards and see them, even though like you'll get a different deck usually, except that one exception that I had. Um, it's kind of unpredictable how you'll feel about the deck. So I just feel like I love the time period and traditional type of artwork and coloring. Again, it's pretty neutral for me to read with, and that's one of the main reasons why I like carrying this around, as I mentioned. Um, there and like the cards are super deep. Like even with this, like with the moon, I just could feel the depth of like perception or the depth of like the outside looking in or the depth of like introspection, the things that you get with the moon card of something that's so profound to you, or like even things that are left to be um, in the dark or uncovered, or to their demise because it's something that maybe things that don't get revealed or that get illuminated. And I just love the way that these um, cards just read. And like even with the Fool card, I wasn't even thinking about this main character. I'm sorry, I don't know the character's name, but I was looking at the dragon in the background because that's what was standing out to me in the reading of like who would be like um, the person like in the reading, or how would they be represented, or who would be represented in the reading. And it just seems like a surrounding type of energy of like it gives the energy of a Fool card because you're thinking like, no, that doesn't seem like a good idea when like you're getting or a dragon is circling you, and it almost seems like there was intention behind it but not that much planning or like unpredictability. There is a sense of excitement that sometimes comes from the Fool too, or like anticipation, or like um just being caught off guard in general. And I just love the type of unpredictability that it shows. So and some of the things like really are just like, what, like with the Hanged Man. And it kind of like reminds you, like, I don't know, in this instance right now, but again, there's so many different possibilities and ways of reading. Um, Sorry, a notice on my cloud space came up. Really being upside down and, like when life like gives you the X. Like maybe there's something that's less to be desired, or there's something that like it could be one of those either missed opportunities or closed doors or things that you really had to think about or things that like um you're there because of this, that, and the third, and it's something that you had to sit with and think about. Hanged Man is really one of, like stillness, and um, it could be seeing something from a different perspective as it like physically or it portrays in the card. And there's so many things that could be brought up, like when you're in your thoughts and in that position. And there even could be like a sense of desperation too, because as humans, it's not the position that you're physically wanting to be in for a long time. There's like a sense of being uncomfortable, and even when it shows, because for me, it kind of shows like, I don't know, a different layer of the body where um, it's that stripped down. So, um, and even like in a reading, you could be trying to go back to certain basics of things or getting to the root, because it it does bring a lot of the questions up, especially like how did I get here, or why am I here? Um, so I there's just a lot that comes out of this deck that um, that just reads so it's like a sensational type of deck, and that's not me really referencing certain things. Like I know some of the characters, um, but I don't necessarily know like a lot of their backstory. I know some of the characters' backstories. Um, but for those who really got into the series, like it's nothing. And even with the Seven of Cups, it like just speaks of different things like that are the choices or the opportunities that you have. Um, and even like the easy way out, or like the difficult um, choice that we have to make or that we're forced to make. Um, it could be like those toxic things. And what are these avenues? That liquid over there, it just seems like it. I don't know what it is, like specifically if it has to do with the series, but it seems like it's something where maybe it wouldn't be a good thing to drink, but maybe it would be a good thing to drink. Because I remember when I was working in the lab and I was making a compound where I was using tretinoin, and the powder is like a nuclear yellow. Like when you see it in the sink, it just looks like not a good sight to have like in front of you. Um, but it was one of the things that was added to some of the medications, and for good reason too. So I will show a little bit more of the cards, and then I will start. Well, this is the one that's damaged. Start a reading because I have been up later these days, earlier, I don't know. And because it's cooler outside, especially around like nighttime, I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood, and it was really nice because I enjoy cold weather. Um, and it's also easier for me to breathe in cold weather. And that's linking to heart problems too in the past, and some still now, since I was like 12 years old. So with the Hierophant, it feels like traditional too. And sometimes we don't always want to go by tradition, and maybe like we were put in a position where we were forced to follow certain theologies or things that um, were that we were told that this is how it's supposed to be. But it's a learning experience, but it could also be like that type of divine connection too, and a even divine type of partnership for some. I do like almost like the blankness of this card in a way, where it's great to be back because it's one of those cards where you're um maybe it's like people that came back from battle and they're coming home, and then some cards would depict like the excitement of the crowd, or like maybe they're even excited too, or like getting that recognition. But you could just kind of sense the fatigue in there. Like this wasn't an easy thing to do. I literally fought hard for this, or like I did this and that, and like your girl needs some rest at this point. So, but it doesn't really, you don't really get rest because then you get the seven of wands afterwards. So, spears, six of swords, and I'll start reading. And so I'm going to try doing this quickly because I am going to go to the library. I think I'm going to eat um, before I leave. I did purchase some salad stuff earlier. Not, well, yeah, earlier because I purchased it around midnight. So I have my blanket here. And the deck just feels like sturdy when you're um, using it. Because I love to have my decks super shuffled. I don't do like um, much with the deck until I shuffle it in. So when I do like the flip throughs, I have the intentions of putting them in order. I don't know if I put them all in order, but I don't like putting them in order for that because I then go crazy with trying to like um, make it as mixed as I can. It does have a noise that it makes, but honestly, like I'm grateful that this deck is like has like a little bit of a heft to it in its own way. Again, it's not like the thickest cardstock, but like all together with like the type of production and stuff. I think it's one of those noisier decks, but I don't mind. And then I'll turn over the cards. And again, this is like a sample reading. I think this is like a pretty solid reading from what I turned over so far. Because, like, these are the same characters, like the Queen of Wands and the Empress. And it does seem to be concentrated more on a specific element, but the Empress does embody all the queens from the different suits. You also have the Queen of Cups in the immediate future, and I do feel like it's something that like really stands out, or where you're um maybe picked out of the crowd. There's something about it that is an opportunity that seems like it's um, something specific for you, or something that was well earned, because the overall energy is the strength card, and the strength card does seem like it's in like a feminine energy, and that really goes with the queens that are here and the um, empress that's here. With the Queen of Cups, if we're thinking about the other or traditional Rider Waite Smith imagery, the Queen of Cups has a special cup, and it's a cup that's special to her. It's not like the other cups are that are in the deck, and it kind of depicts like what it does in the Four of Cups, because the Four of Cups has like a cup that kind of like just comes out of nowhere. It's one of those um kind of special things that maybe could be divine. It may be like an opportunity, or like thing that comes out of maybe not nowhere, but it tends to shine until like, you get the attention, or it gets that attention. It kind of also reminds me of like one of those things where maybe something is trying to get your attention, and maybe it does have like a sense of like intuitive guidance to it, because we are thinking about cups too, and cups being associated with those like depths, and like those abilities to hone into that type of realm, if you will. Um, and with the cups, and it reminding me of like getting that type of clarity, even though it's not. Sometimes I mainly associate that word with swords, but you know when something or someone is constantly, or like a moment constantly stays with you, and maybe like it could be a reason, or maybe like you stuck with it for so long, or there's like a type of mission that you have in life that you're so determined to do, and it keeps popping up, and it doesn't leave your mind, and it's like one of those things where like maybe it almost feels like it's divinely guided, or the universe is telling you like this means something. Like I don't know how many signs I had to give to you for it to mean something, but with the Queen of Cups I don't think it's many signs. And even when you do get a lot of signs in life, like there's a lot going on in life. Like I don't, it's fine if you're still figuring stuff out. Everyone's always figuring stuff out. So you have like the solid cards with the strength here, and even like in the Mind the Magician, it's just such the like an opportunistic time to achieve and to believe and achieve. So this is on in the mind position, and the underlying energy is the Wheel of Fortune, which doesn't seem surprising, but even when the Wheel of Fortune does have an unpredictable energy, um, it could have like a lottery type of thing going on with it. Not all the time, especially with life, but with this, it seems like you have the strength and you have the magician, so you're gonna go for it. And it does feel like one of those energies, especially with the Empress here, that it and this matched up with the Queen of Wands. It does feel like it's a energy that's going to be a force of nature, because um, it feels like instinctual. It feels like it wants to head that direction. Fire is not something that could be tamed easily, but since it's matched up in this reading, I do feel like it's something that's really under control. And when you aim or when you have like that specific passion or that fire in you that um, gets directed somewhere, it can turn into a beautiful thing because it's not just like going all over the place. Um, and that could have been like what the past was with the Knight of Swords, because the Knight of Swords, there's some things that are yet to be discovered with the knights. They're figuring their way in life, and as I was mentioning before, and even the present, you have going back to the Page of Swords. So there could be like things that maybe didn't go according to plan. So there's like regrouping and like learning some more things, or to even challenge the ways of thinking and the ways that we know things for what you thought that they were. Because the Page of Swords can be like um, one of the things that are like the lessons in life. And I do feel like the experience has made you become the person that you are, like, or made you stronger because of that. Um, because it's, even though it's like going, it kind of like, it feels like you revert back if you're thinking about age. Um, it's also important to constantly learn and grow. I do feel like that's really important for like even in the medical world too, because there's so many things that are being developed, and there are archaic views that are constantly being challenged, and that's okay because you want something that's more optimal, that works extremely well, and that's the way that you want it to work. I was going to say potency, but again, it depends on like what you're trying to look for in that type of like maybe treatment and medication. But the magician holds a lot of resources and knows how to use those resources. There is a little bit like with the Page of Swords there and the Knight of Swords. Um, Even like maybe cunning energy that there could be like underlying of why, again with the Wheel of Fortune being here, of like why they're trying to accomplish it. Um, but there's a sense of like individuality and doing the things that you feel like are suitable, or that it's not something that holds back on your personality, especially with the Knight of Swords here too. Knight of Swords is like one of those cards that really follow his or her heart. um Strength can really go by it and stand by it. There's a loyalty to certain things. And even when other people disagree or try to like maybe discourage it, there's something, especially with the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, it seems like there's something that she knows or that he knows. I don't need to read for genders. Um, of why you're going through this. There's like a sense of connection of like I need to do this because um, it almost seems like this connection to the my this journey is divine in some way, as if like there's some type of guidance where it's leading me to this. And um it almost feels like with the Queen of Cups, like her duty in this reading is just to like follow that instinct. So it's great that the karmic card, or like why everything is happening, is the Justice card. And you have like strong energies that come in here, and it goes like full force. It does it in a way where it's not gonna be um, like it's like a type of energy that covers their bases. Even when it does go full force in certain areas, it knows when to hold back. It knows like which battles are worth taking on. Um, if there is maybe discouraging energy, or energy where a person treats you a certain way, or like a situation where you where something happens and um, like what they said, that they did this even though like it kind of goes against or like it can harm you or another person. um there's something about it where it seems, again with the justice, consequential. And there's another different type of perception that goes into it because justice is linked to Libra, and you see the scales here too. And again, with trying to use that discernment and picking and choosing what to take on and what to do, when to hold back, when to use that power, it really is a strength in itself, because you're not just like going balls to the wall or like throwing a pasta to the wall and seeing what sticks type of thing. You're really trying to like make something and form it in a specific way. There's a lot of intention to it, um, which is great because this, like in life, when you do things, I like to think that like doing things with intention is important, because it's not something that you can take back if you said something or like did something. So if you can live with yourself, especially making those types of choices and living by what you feel like is like within your moral compass, I think you can ultimately, for you to sleep well at night, because that's you. Like you're not trying to be somebody else. And that's also like the strength in it too. So the environment is the Four of Swords. So there does seem to be like a little bit of fatigue that comes from this. Like it could be like mental exhaustion. Even coming from the Three of Swords, and I feel like the Three of Swords just has like such a strong reputation. I'm not saying like it's a less than card. It is a minor arcana, and I do understand like what it could mean. Um, but at the same time, it's in the beginning of like the cycle, and there's so much that that's to come, and not something that you really need to focus super super hard on. Like the Three of Swords, it's in the beginning. It's the three, and with the three, it could be something that was a little more communal, not like too big, like a 10, but maybe if there were other people involved and they really like tried to unintentionally or intentionally bring you down. I say both, because like maybe they didn't completely understand the severity of the consequences, but at the same time, then there was like their actions there, and um, there was still the impact. Like there seems to be like a focus on intention, but there was like the lack of focus on impact, because it did happen and these were the consequences of it. So it does seem like there's something that comes out of it that's more, I would say, to your favor. And it also depends on like the choices you made and how you acted upon it. Whether you wanted to be the bigger person or the bigger problem. Um, and again, like going with the like knowing which battles to take. One of like the greatest successes to me is if you succeed and you don't have to bring anybody down in the process. Not saying it's going to happen all the time, because there's specific circumstances where, um, if we're thinking about certain um, war type of situations, but in general, I feel that um, when you're just minding your business type of thing and focusing like on the success, like don't focus on like what this person did or what this person said, like it's irrelevant at this point. They just showed you what their colors were, and do you really want to keep that around? Because if they treat you like that, or they treat a situation like that, even if they did give some type of explanation to it, the impact is still there. And I, with the Justice card, I feel like there's something about it that is, again, that it will have more consequences to it. So, um, I think with the Empress there, especially being with that support of the Queen of Wands, like this person knew she could have done like more stuff, but she or he knew to really keep their eyes on the prize type of thing. And I think that's like one of the strongest things, or like that's really represented in the overall energy, like the strength card. The hopes or fears position, you have the judgment. And I really do feel like it links to the karmic card. So I feel like it could be something that when it comes down to it, like even if you don't win every battle, that's not what the point is, but putting your all into the battles that you do take on. And that's like respect in itself. So I do feel like there are good things to come from it. And even like that learning curve, or um, knowing that, or like storing that in like your like knowledge and memories for next time, because the further future you have the Hermit. So I'm just gonna pull out maybe two more cards, I would say, for the Hermit. And I like how, like, I think it's a raven that's on the card. Because even though, like, maybe some might think that they have, like, a bad reputation, there's also, well, there's, like, the things that they actually are. Um, they are cleaner birds, and they are intelligent. Um, and they do have a force, like, with that um, steak knife beak. So, the cards for the Hermit, which is interesting. It's the Knight of Wands and the Page of Wands. I do feel like this is like, oh, I wouldn't say like a wilder energy, but it feels like something that it's almost as if it refocuses energy and focuses like intention, focuses like where we're putting things. Because honestly, with the Knight of Wands, if we're thinking about inconsistent knights, I would say that this wands, this knight would probably be the more inconsistent one out of like his other family members or his friends. Um, so when it's with the Page of Wands, there it just feels like there's excitement here, and there's enthusiasm, and it's like what I learned or what came out of this, now that I know, and now I can base on other things, and it doesn't even like, I'm not saying it's not going to phase you, but it's not going to like hinder you in a way where you just get stuck on it. Like these energies, like the Knight of Wands and the Page of Wands, it's not like an energy that gets stuck on something. Like in fact, it's just like kind of like an energy that feels like it bounces. It does give the impression that a little unreliable, but at the same time, it does give that sense of like independence and doing your own thing and to live in the moment type of energy. And with the Empress here, I feel like there is support on that. The only one that you don't have here is the King of Wands, because you have the Page, Knight, and Queen of Wands here, Spears. And um, it does seem like the Empress really holds it down. So I think that it's like one of those types of energies where it does get appreciated in some way. Um, it, I feel like it's like an energy that's going to be directed. And with the Hermit, fire in that Hermit, it's it maybe illuminates, and I think that's how I'm going to end the reading, because you have like the lamp there too, and with the fire, like the passion and the growth, and like um being a little bit like devilish in some way. It can be seen as like devilish too, because you're like marching to the beat of your own drum type of situation. But it feels good to do those things. And with the Queen of Cups there, I feel like there's something more behind it that meets the eye. Like maybe the Knight of Wands was like put in that position for a specific reason, because somebody saw that type of potential to do something greater, even if it's not now, it's something like that's in the future. So that's the reading. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in another video.